Hello, Mohammed. I wanted to thank you for giving me the chance to talk with your audit management team. I really appreciated it. I always appreciate the chance to hear what people have to say and how they look at these issues. And basically, we had a good meeting, I think. I provided you some high-level thoughts and approaches to revenue assurance and fraud management, and we looked at some of the audit issues. We kind of got derailed a little bit. But that's okay. In fact, that happens almost every time I meet with a group of managers because revenue assurance and fraud management are complicated topics, and it's easy to get lost in all the different dimensions of the risks and the approaches. Basically, everybody that comes into this comes with a different perspective and a different way of analyzing it, and that's one of our big challenges at GRAPPA. So how do you organize it when everybody has their own approach? There's one company that has a partner risk management department. So the interconnect they handle through the partner risk management department. Other ones have revenue assurance, other ones have fraud management, other ones have just let audit handle it. So everybody's got a different way that they're looking at it. The bottom line is when it comes to teaching people and getting people up to speed, any task that's assigned to anybody has three dimensions: the technology dimension, the operational dimension, and the financial risk dimension, and they have to understand those three domains to do their job. And if you want to avoid wasting time in all of these theoretical discussions and what about this and what about that, and you get off on these tangents, you have to understand that there's the three dimensions. Technology, what platform is it? Does the person doing the audit understand the architecture and how it works and what parts of it are relevant? From the operational perspective, which line of business is it? Which service, which offer or deal applies? Which business rules apply? And from the financial risk perspective, am I looking at leakage, revenue capture, profit, margin, customer satisfaction, fraud risk? Which risk dimension? So any task has those three dimensions assigned. Therefore, the assessment of the professional and the training of the professional is personal. It's about each person's mastery of those three dimensions. So our program is designed to help everybody boil it down to those three dimensions and make sure that people are getting what they need. So the knowledge base and the context: technology, operations, risk. And it depends on what the person knows now and where you think the risks are going to be in the future that they face. So how do you decide? There's no easy answer. You don't know for sure what the people are going to have to face. You don't know if it's going to be a 2G, a postpaid billing, a prepaid. So our catalog has a complete, extensive list of technology units, operational units, and risk and disciplines units that you can choose to make sure you're getting exactly the mix you want for people. Now, if it was that simple, we could end the discussion right there. But there's another dimension, and that's kind of where it gets really hard to separate. There's two ways that this material can be presented to people. There's what I call the curriculum-based, checklist-driven approach and the solutions-based, intelligence-driven approach. Now, these are very radically different ways of teaching. In a curriculum-based approach, you identify the categories and topics that you want students to learn. We assign them prepaid units, give them materials. They go through the recorded classes, they do the testing, and we verify that they've mastered the material. Now, the problem with that approach is it's all on the students. It's a lot of hard work for them, and you don't know if they're going to actually figure out how to use it. Now, in the solution-driven approach, you don't identify the categories, you identify the problems you want the students to be able to solve. We then organize the units so that students are presented with the information they need to master in order to solve that problem, and then we have them in the class actually walk through how they're going to do the problem solving through critical thinking. So in the solutions driven, it's live class. The students still take recorded units to get the background, but then they have to go to the live class and actually talk through how they're going to apply it. Whereas with the curricular driven, we assume they know what they're doing and they just need the background information. So I have a lot of experience here. There are certain students that say, just give me the material, I'll figure it out. So for them, the curriculum driven is best. For the solutions driven, for the students that maybe aren't up to speed on the critical thinking skills, they're not that good at diagnosis, analysis, prognosis, then the solutions driven approach is better. Now, the disadvantage of the solutions driven approach is it takes longer, it's more work for the students, and it has to be done with others, okay? I can't do a solution driven class with one person. So if you don't have at least 5 people that want to take the same solutions-driven unit, then we have to wait until we get 5 students from someplace else to make it work. So the recommended approach that I make to large organizations is, for organizations like yours, let each manager decide upon the details of the program for his or her team, and just have them decide for each person which dimensions they want to master, and whether the manager wants them to do the checklist-based approach or the solution-based approach. And then we can put together the program that they want. Now, this is the beauty of our program, and I didn't get a chance to get to that last time. The choice that you make on which units and which method has no effect on price. Pricing is based upon students per unit. The other dimensions make the timing different, and the organizational challenge is different. So the solution-based method, you have a lot more work to do organizing your team. But that doesn't change it from our perspective for what it costs to put it together. Okay? So our rack rate, the current rack rate for you guys is 1 student, 1 unit, $100. That's 4 hours. So that's 1 class, 1 certificate. So 20 people getting full certification would be 200 student units, and that would be $20,000 US. So that's a 40-hour program for 20 people. Now, if you get involved with volume discounts, you can get up to 60% off, 60% of that, and that depends on the payment terms, single payment prepaid versus a blanket purchase order. So the blanket purchase order, you pay weekly payouts. So some people say we will not pay unless you finish the class. Fine. Whatever we finish in the week, you pay for the week. So those are the different payment terms. They will have the biggest effect on the cost. Now, if your organization doesn't want to commit to 20 students for full certification, totally understandable. For example, if you want 20 students to take 1 unit, that's $2,000. Simple. If you want 2 students to take 10 units, that's $2,000. Simple, okay? So the math is simple. My recommendation is your managers go through the lists, let the managers decide, let them choose which units are important and which methods are important for their teams, and you can do that on a unit-based, and then we can put together a proposal for how that can all get put together for your team. So I hope this simplifies the thinking process and the decision-making process. If anybody would like to talk about any of this in more detail, I'm more than happy to put some more time aside. So thanks a lot for this opportunity.